Okay, let's move on to our first activity, and it is objection handling. So I'm going to need some input from you guys. I don't see why staging is so important.
I understand how you feel.
I like that. That's a good start. Don't use but.
And, however.
Well, like you said, it's not what you pay for
Okay,
your
it's
net.
what you net.
Yeah, I like that. That should solve it.
Moving on. I understand how you feel. Other people have felt that way in the past too, about what they've found. Remember, felt found?
No, I don't remember that.
Oh, I understand. I thought that was where you were going. So I understand how you feel. Other people I worked with had also felt the same way, and then what they found was so it's feel, felt, found. Oh,
I don't know.
and you can apply that to anything. You can apply that to commissions. You can apply that to pricing. You can apply that to anything because it's not sort of specific to any activity. It's the concept of you're agreeing with them, you're acknowledging that what they feel or what they feel had been felt in the past, and then you're telling them what other people have found. So kind of take yourself out of it. Okay, anybody else? Okay, I'll move you along so that we can get out of here in time. If you want to sell faster or for more money than your competing sellers, then you need to stand out in terms of condition. So remember, for our market, because there are so few listings, you might hear, well, there's nothing really available for sale. And then you can show them everything else that's sitting on the market, or perhaps maybe not at that moment, but something that's sat on the market for a while in a specific area. Even the hot areas like Annex and Riverdale and Leslieville and Prime Floor West, you still have houses that are sitting on the market. And usually they're overpriced and undermarketed.
Also, there was that thing about the only thing that we can truly control is the condition of the house, right? That we learned from the other day. So I feel like that would be a good one, you know?
Yeah.
Can you repeat that second one that you just said, not the field, felt, blah, blah, the one after that? That second objection that you just said.
You guys really have to write this down as I say it.
Yeah, me too.
Which one? Which one?
Okay,
Anybody remember what I said? It's on camera.
Yeah.
It's being recorded. But which one? Which
Other people I worked with felt the same way.
no, that was the first
feel,
one.
felt, found.
And while I wrote that down, you were saying something else, and I was trying to
You'll think
remember
of
what I.
it. You'll think of it. And what you
Context.
It's not what you did, it's what you meant.
No.
No.
Sorry. The little recorder. My coach says the same thing. He said, if I say something that you like, make sure to write it down, because as soon as I say it, I forget it. Okay, do we really have to make this repair?
I would. That's what I say. I would.
That's great.
Wait a minute.
Short and sweet.
It's the one that you said, it's the one that you said with other houses, and then you have done how you compete with other houses, and then you went into even in the hot areas, which was still listed over there.
Oh, yeah, she said, you know, you can show them comparable properties
That have been sitting on the market even in hot areas. I don't think that was a script.
No, it wasn't.
No, I think it's just, if you do have somebody that's in a hot area, look at, if the area is so hot and the price is gonna be so great, maybe you don't actually need to stage. Right, like that's,
Of course, yeah.
yeah, but if you think it needs staging, it probably does. We don't subscribe to the you always stage every listing, and you take all their stuff out and you put all new stuff in. I mean, there's some agents that really live by that, and we don't. I mean, sometimes you don't have to, right? Like, this is just for, if you walk in and you think it needs staging, it probably does.
Well, it also depends on what they have done with the house over time, right? I mean, they may have some information.
I don't know if this is the right thing to, but I sometimes I try to apply, because I like to get kind of more personal with them, so I say, you know what, I would never ask someone to do something that I wouldn't do for my own house.
Yeah, that's
And I
great.
say to them, look, you know what, if I just sell my house tomorrow, I go, trust me, it's a disaster.
Yeah, so
Right? So I kind of
that's
personalize it, so
a more descriptive way of saying what Carmel did. right? So yeah, I would.
So there's 3
I would. Listen, when we sold our last house, oh my God, between staging and decluttering, like it was just a month-long process, right? But we had to do it. So do you really have to make this repair? Keep in mind too, if you're dealing with anybody from the US, they know that they always have to do all of the repairs before they can even consider selling. It's not like that for us. You don't have to do any repairs. You can just sell it as is. We can sell it just the way it is, but it's likely to take longer, and you probably won't get as much money. My recommendation is to have it repaired so that we can get the best price possible in the shortest amount of time. That's also something in our market that's important for you to reiterate, because the public thinks everything sells in 7 to 10 days, and it doesn't. We have to show them that it doesn't. The choice is yours, Paul. What would you like to do? Make the repair or take longer to sell?
What are those scrapes at?
It is my instructor.
Oh, okay.
I can send those over. I mean, it's really just a different way of saying what we've been talking about for the last hour. Why can't we sell the house as is? It's a hot neighborhood. Everything's selling.
Can, we can get more money to repair it.
Yeah, they, just going back to something I had said way before, is the buyers will always deduct more than what it's gonna cost you to repair. So $500 to $1,000 for you could be 2 to 5 for them in their heads. Plus the time, right? They're factoring in the time of the aggro. Paul?
I don't have a very good script for this, but I just sort of try to, usually in a lot of these situations, I try to sort of explain that we want to appeal to the most amount of people. So anytime there's a problem, we're losing people that might otherwise compete for your property.
Yeah.
Rosemary? Can you just lean out there and tell them to pipe down?
Back down, yes.
If I yell, it's gonna defeat the purpose.
Because it's on camera.
It's like yelling at the kids who are yelling upstairs. Don't yell across the house!
Lisa apologizes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. We're moving a little bit faster just because we're chatting. I think we're sort of doing some of our activities before the activity time, so I'm happy with that. Okay, marketing. Who has a marketing plan? Anybody? What do you focus on with yours for now?
Well, everything, like the photography, you mean marketing it myself?
No. The marketing plan for the listing. So we
Yeah,
go for a listing
yeah.
presentation.
Yeah.
What is it
Well, I
that?
have mine is interesting, because mine is a 12-step, but it's a 12-step program.
Better be careful with that.
Yeah, so I can't remember, but it's all about preparing the owners for how it works, because they don't realize a lot of the time how difficult it is to live in the house and show it and so forth. So I prepare them, but I also get the inspection. I think that's important to have an inspection done. So that's presented at the house at the time. Photography is really important. Feature sheets, very important. Doing a binder like you do with all of the inspection and all of that in the house. Making sure that we have a lockbox on, the sign is on, everything is done ahead of time so that there's no, nothing missing, and having it available right away for showing, so that, and that the people are out as much as they can be. I don't have my list, but that's, it's just an overall readiness to present it, and making sure that it's on Realtor.ca for the open houses on the weekend, and flyers around the neighborhood. I knock on doors and tell people about it in the area.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving me the love too. Nick?
Well, I got mine kind of from your guys' old one. I don't know if it's still similar. So I list typically what other agents will do. And I put that
We
down
still
as
do
well.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I keep going underneath what I'll do additionally. Like, personally door knock all the houses in the neighborhood, invite neighbors to open houses, et cetera, et cetera. I just like to compare the
I don't
two.
want my neighbors to know what's happening in my house. Why do you want neighbors in here?
Typically, when someone moves into the neighborhood, they're moving there because they know somebody who lives in that area, so it's a great idea to market to people in the neighborhood currently.
Plus people who already live in a neighborhood, they're advocates for that neighborhood.
Yeah, but I don't want them just to walk through my house to see what I've done with my decorating. Why do I need my neighbors through here?
They're the best ones to spread word to other neighbors in the area that are looking to purchase.
Or friends of theirs that are not in the neighborhood yet but would like to be.
Great.
There you
You
go.
guys know your stuff. Yay!
Plus, you're
Did I say-
moving.
What's that?
Plus, you're moving.
What do you care?
Yeah. Aren't you?
One is, what do you have in your binder? School information or else?
We have, the first part is a copy of the listing, a copy of the floor plan, a feature sheet, home inspection. The second part is school information, elementary, middle, high,
French,
TDSB, Catholic, French.
Montessori.
And then we have links to Peel, private, and Montessori. And then we have neighborhood information. I think it's generally pulled from TorontoNeighborhoods.net, I'm pretty sure.
From what?
TorontoNeighborhoods.net, I think. Check with Bridget. It's
Like parks, restaurants,
yeah. Walk score,
facility,
walk and bike score.
transit.
Yeah, that's sort of like walk, bike,
Google,
transit.
right? You get that from Google? Or-
I think it's just walkscore.com.
Oh, okay.
We used to have recent sales in there, but our broker of record has advised us that that's not allowed. So we have to stop.
It's terrible when you live with an
Yeah, you can't bring any rules.
Really, that's.
What do you mean I can't do that?
You get away with nothing.
Oh, nothing, although it is kind of handy to have them over there to sign stuff, but no, did you guys know that? Did you know that you're actually technically not supposed to provide sold information to people
Unless
who
you're asked.
aren't, who they're not technically looking to hire you? Like, they can't just ask, it's supposed to be in the context of a market evaluation.
Well, but when we had this discussion with Philip the other day during the office meeting, and we were talking about door knocking, he said if you door knock and somebody asks you, what does this house across the street sell for, then you can divulge the information as opposed to going around and say,
Do you want to know what the house across
They
the
have to
street
ask.
sold for? Here it
They have to
is.
ask.
so his advice was,
Wait for them to ask.
wait for them to ask, and then you can,
He said I
Potential
couldn't
client.
use
Because
it to
they're
market, he
potential
said I could
client.
say there's a percentage that has gone up in the neighborhood.
that, yeah,
Wait
then
for
you can
over
say.
ask.
Well, what do I
know? No, in aggregate, you can totally say that, right?
Yeah.
I have a marketing piece where I can show the houses that are sold, I just can't show the number, I just can't show the street and.
A lot of agents are sending, like I'm on like 5 email lists of like what things
Oh,
are selling.
there's Wild West out there, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, let's get back to our
Was only one question, right? Was one question, and then the other question was, what do you, so somebody was saying like you have something what other agents do and what you do?
Yes.
What do you do, what is on your I-do list what other agents typically don't do?
That's a good question. So if you guys look at page 16, the 14-point marketing plan, we have an expanded version of this, Katya,
Okay.
and then we have you have to sort of generalize because a lot of agents don't do anything, right? Like they
Right.
literally just put the house on MLS
Right.
and put a sign in your yard. So, you know, if I were to look at this list, price the home competitively with the current market. So what I would do on so that would be what we do, and then what other agents do.
So that would be on both lists?
No, I would say, we price the house competitively with the current market and price trends, and other agents will put the house on at any price just to get the business, and hope that the market sells it. Advise sellers on how to attract buyers by showing the home in the best possible light. Reference the above conversation about staging. I would put on the right-hand side, sell house as is. You know, so what we do is we put in this advise sellers, we put staging consultation is included. And then on the right-hand side, most agents will just put the house on the market as is. For sale sign, yeah, everybody does a sign. Respond to all buyer inquiries immediately. I would really highlight this, guys, because I can't tell you how many times I will respond to a sign call or an internet inquiry, and they'll say, oh my God, thanks for calling me back, or thanks for calling me back so quickly, right? Like you respond to them within 10 or 15 minutes, and a lot of times agents just, they don't respond at all. I never could understand that, but it is very, very common. So I would highlight that. And I would say to the sellers, you would think that if a buyer called on your listing, that your agent would want to get back to them right away, but that is simply not the case with a lot of agents. It's unfortunate. Nick, what would you say?
I just saw a quick NAR stat about if you respond within the first 5 minutes, the reception is like 90%, but after 5 minutes it drops to like 60
Oh yeah,
or something.
everybody's attention span
Yeah.
has shrunk.
Okay.
I don't remember, I just read about this as far as like over the last decade, how much our attention span has shrunk. And it's like, I don't know, it's like down to 7 or 8 seconds, right? Like if we're reading something, if we don't like it, like it's seconds,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, the when you didn't have internet or pagers or whatever, it's like, you know, by the time somebody calls you back, you're glad they called you back. Now, if you're not on it,
God, you're right away.
I know, it's game over. I'll never forget, we sat down at a listing appointment, this was years ago, it was on the Danforth. And, you know, it's nice, and, you know, everything's nice, all signed. So thanks so much for your business, just wondering why you decided to work with us. And she said, you're the only one that called back.
Wow.
I said, you're kidding.
So
right?
we're
She
working with you by default.
Yeah, I mean, you have to kind of prove yourself, but
Still.
yeah, I said, you're kidding, right? She said, no, really.
Oh my God, really?
Like that's
Just gonna stop buyer's market or
extreme.
something?
I don't understand that. Like that really is extreme, but it happened. True.
Wow.
When you're on the other side,
Yeah, same in my old job, but you know, when I used to sell in hotels for conventions and stuff, like, you know, you get like 10 inquiries a day, and I'd call those people, and almost everybody would tell me, you're the only person who actually called. Everybody else would just take their email and just respond by email, and you know, it's the only person who actually picked up the phone to call these people. It's just crazy.
Were you gonna say something else now?
no, I was gonna say, from another perspective, I was looking for a cottage, same thing, I'm an agent, looking for an agent,
Oh.
nobody would call me
It took
back.
us 3 agents to sell my mother-in-law's cottage. 3 agents, 3 seasons.
Nobody called back,
I know.
that was crazy.
Funny story, you know, sometimes when you go into a listing, like a new listing appointment with somebody that had their house on the market for a while, probably not happens too much anymore, but in the past, you'd come in and you'd say, so why do you think your house didn't sell? And they'd say, I don't know, I never heard from my agent. I always thought that the never heard from your agent was an exaggeration. It felt like I never heard from my agent. My agent called me so rarely that it felt like they didn't call me back at all. No, our first cottage agent, we did not hear back from him ever. Not even when the listing expired. And he would say, none. Not, this is overestimating, no, they never called back. He had sold the cottage next to my mother-in-law, and he was fairly prominent up there, so we thought, okay, whatever. Again, you're a realtor from Toronto, big city, possibility for referral, nothing. I think it took him about a week to get back. I think once he replied to like the 4th text, which said, like, there's been 14 showings, do you have any feedback at all? And I think it was, yeah, sorry, I didn't get back to you sooner, been busy, yeah, nothing. Yeah, and it took him like a week to call back after the listing expired, so we could get the lockbox code to give it to the next
He didn't have any feedback because he probably never called the showing agent to find out what.
No, but you know what, so if somebody says to you, I never heard from my agent, it might be actually 100% true. Let's just get back to this marketing plan a little bit, because I do think it's important. Optimizing internet presence, I would also put in here, because it's not outlined here, I would also put social media, because social media is not a fad now, it's here to stay, so certainly, even
It is in
for-
here.
What's that?
It's in here.
Is it?
Yeah, social media, yeah.
Got it. Okay, I would certainly highlight that. Multiple websites, absolutely. You know, the KW branded app, just use it. Use it as a benefit. Show people when you're sitting with them what it does. Flyers and comment cards. Flyers, Carmel, really, really important. You know, I agree with you. You know, even if you have a fairly high traffic street, you want the neighbors to know. You want the people 3 streets over to know that there's a house for sale, that they might want to bring one of their relatives into.
Sorry, can you just go back, the 5 and 6, you were saying before, like, this is what might be on the other agents' list. You know how you have a 2-part list?
Yeah, I would
Like-
say, you know, maximizing internet presence. A lot of local realtors will just put your house on realtor.ca or Trev. So that's the only website really it will go to, as opposed to me putting it out to 300 local and international websites through the Keller Williams system.
If it's on KWLS, does it go to the relevant US sites like Zillow and Julia and stuff? Will that populate?
We also, because we're in the GPS division, Global Property Specialist, we put our listings on Proxio Pro, which is an international website. So that's really helpful too. You can really, I mean, especially once you start getting into the higher price points, you really want to highlight the international presence for sure. Just listed notices to neighbors. I mean, we touched on that. And number 10, I think, is really, really important because it really shows how well you play with others. Because you can help sellers understand that, of course, I'm going to be marketing to the general public, and I also want to market to local agents. Because every local agent has 2 to 3 to 5 buyers that they're working with, so I want to make sure to target those as well. And the flip side to that is a lot of agents won't want to cooperate with other brokerages. They just want to try and sell the house themselves. You know, number 11, I would certainly focus on the camaraderie that we have in this office and how we promote our listings and have, you know, an office of 80 agents working for you, not just me, especially for the new folks. You know, highlight the 90. Highlight the camaraderie that we have in the office, and that when they hire you, and that's going to be an objection also. Well, you just got, maybe not for you with your sphere, but for somebody who just got their license. Well, you know, what do you know about real estate? I have my energy level, and I also have 90 agents behind me working to help get your home sold. So use that. Create an open house schedule. I can't tell you guys enough how much you should be doing open houses. We are going to look at an open house video soon. But especially when you get the objection, well, I don't want open houses, whether it's neighbors or whatever. Will an open house really sell my house? Well, it might. It really might. It used to be that I think 2 to 3% of the people who went through an open house actually bought that house. I think right now that percentage is much greater because of the shortage of inventory and because agents are lazy. They don't want to do the showing. They just want to send their client to the open house. Go see the house and tell me if you like it. Conrad?
If you are selling a property in a, let's say, not a particularly hot neighborhood, and you could imagine that the property is on the market for a month, would you be doing open houses every week for the whole month, or would you put a cutoff period?
I would put a cutoff. Yeah, you don't want to open houses so much that the listing gets stale. I mean, certainly again, depends on the market. I mean, for us, I would say the first and second week definitely, but then not every single weekend, because then it's like people are coming in and saying, oh, why has the house been on the market for 3 weeks? What's wrong with it? Everything sells in this market. Is it overpriced? Right, so you want, those are harder comments to field. Second week, it's like, well, you know what? We gave it the first week, we wanted to give it some more exposure, and then give it another couple of weeks. After 30 days, if it's not sold, you need to adjust the price.
And are you setting that expectation at the presentation?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. If the seller is listing at a price that's higher than what you recommend, I wouldn't even wait 30 days. I'd give it like 2 weekends and say, you know what? If you really can't get them to agree to your price, say, you know what, I appreciate your opinion, this is your house, we're gonna do what you want, we're gonna give it 2 weeks. And then if it doesn't sell, you need to agree that the price has to be reduced to what I think it should be. Otherwise, we're just gonna be sitting on the market without a sale. And then you can focus on all of the other challenges that Carmel was talking about, having keeping it clean and having the disruption and everything else that goes along with selling the house.
No dead flowers.
This is a good one, target active investors in your database with certain price ranges. I think that would be really, really helpful. And then we're going to talk about this in the communication section, but provide the seller with weekly updates detailing your marketing effort. So make sure that once you have the listing, you keep telling them what it is that you're doing, what it is that you've done, and what the results have been. If the house sells quickly, they feel that everything you did helped it sell quickly, which it probably did. The house doesn't sell quickly, or just sits. You can say, look, this is everything that we've been doing. I've been keeping you in the loop of everything that we've done for marketing. And look, none of this is working, especially if it's at a higher price, right, Conrad? So regardless of the situation, it's helpful for that level of communication.
Do you, what's your opinion on asking for feedback from showings?
We do it.
So would you personally contact an agent that
We
showed?
start with an email. Sometimes agents are more responsive to emails than they are to voicemails. If we don't get an email back, we call them. I think we stop at 3, like if they don't get back to you after 4. A lot of agents won't. It's very helpful, especially if the house isn't sold. It's very helpful to get the feedback from showing agents. Unfortunately, they sometimes think if they have no interest, there's no point in continuing the conversation. Well, there's even more point, because if the house isn't sold, you want to know what buyers are thinking. Not all realtors think that way. Sometimes helpful to pick up the business cards from the listing, because they'll have their cell number. Text them. Cal?
Do you use, I've seen some agents use an automatic, so they email survey that comes out that asks for feedback.
I think I turned mine off. We turned ours off. Here, nobody replies to them.
I never replied to them.
I think if somebody
I
makes
think
an
it's-
effort to contact you, you should give that person feedback. I think that's your professional
Yeah, exactly.
duty to do
That's
that,
exactly
right?
it. But that's the professional in you,
Right.
and you know a lot of realtors.
Yeah, if somebody
aren't.
sends me an email or gives me a phone call,
Look at a
I
personal
absolutely
one,
do it.
not the mass survey one.
Yeah.
Nobody. And you know what? The funny thing is, I replied to a few of those,
I have.
and then I got a feedback call,
Yeah.
and I have to say, like, I replied to you. Oh, to what?
Okay, I just wanted, because I had them when it was with the Barry and
Do we send those auto replies for this? I don't think we do.
I believe, well, it's through Quick Office. You should ask Melissa and Andy how, I think you can set it to whatever you want, I think. I think the only reason I found that out was because I showed one of our listings and I got the feedback email.
you can set, sorry, you can set what?
I believe you can either have it on or off through Quick Office. Ask front desk.
What on?
Oh, that, give me your feedback.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's how we turned ours off, because we found that. Okay, so we're a little bit behind the 8 ball, so we're gonna have an activity on page 17. We're supposed to take 20 minutes, I wanna take 10. So this is the marketing and action steps. So page 17, choose one of the houses that you previewed either this week or last, and evaluate its features through the points below and compare them to that marketing plan that we just talked about. So write in some comments. If you want, jot down the address at the top and write in some comments about what you thought and what you thought was done well, what you thought could be done better. Let's do 10 minutes so that we don't keep staying behind, okay? Okay, everybody stop their activity.
The other thing, just quickly, that I thought was really interesting, on the listing it says 3+1, like for bedrooms, but so that's why I went, and it was actually 2 bedrooms.
I know they lied.
They lie, and then
They
it's,
lie.
oh, is this the one? Okay, I was like, so new, I don't know.
They
And then
lied.
it was a basement apartment with one, so it's a
Totally
complete
wrong.
lie. And I
Yeah,
went there, I was
it's-
like, okay, now I'm super annoyed, because this is definitely not what they would want.
So I would say, make sure you look at the room breakdown.
Yeah,
And
I was in a
sizes.
hurry.
Yeah,
You're right.
don't be in a hurry, because you wasted your time, the clients are pissed off,
I don't.
right? Yeah, but again, like, you probably wouldn't have even taken them there, right? Now you might say, look, there's not 3 proper bedrooms here, let's go take a look anyway, just because there's nothing else to see.
They made a huge bathroom out of the middle bedroom, because I have the exact same house.
Yeah. But you know, don't always, I mean, like Paul mentioned, don't always make the decision for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, give them the option, but yeah, do your research, because agents, sometimes they lie, sometimes they're just, and I'm not saying lie, you know,
Smarter than
in a
that.
bad way, they just, you know, they fudge the truth. So take some creative license, right? But, you know, if a client, like, it's really, really important for them to have 3 proper bedrooms, don't take them into the
Last thing I'll say, because I found it interesting. They had staged it so beautifully, it's a beautiful place, except that the clients left all of their cosmetics and just everything inside their cupboard. So in the bathroom, in the like spare room and whatever. And so when I was like opening everything up, it was kind of a bit of a turn off. It was like, ooh, like some weird stuff.
They
too.
forgot
I was like,
some real basic stuff.
yeah, and it was a real turn off. I was imagining if I was a buyer, right? It's just like, I really don't want to see your IUD stuff. It's weird.
All right, anybody else have any comments about anything they saw in the last couple of weeks? That was a,
We saw a pretty bad one. We saw,
Ivan.
yeah.
Yes.
So we walked into this house, you know, decent on the outside, except there was more newspapers than there should have been. But we walked in, and as soon as we turned to the left, there's a floor-to-ceiling family portrait staring you down, like super serious. Really creepy.
yeah.
Yeah. And then the floors were dirty everywhere, and there was cobwebs, there was tape on the ceiling in an area,
So,
oversized furniture.
yeah, so they did everything wrong.
Everything wrong.
You know, the personal pictures you want your clients to take down because,
Yeah.
they want the buyers to be able to imagine themselves in it. It's really hard to do when you have any personal photos, never mind ones
Yeah.
that are that big.
Yeah.
Right? But like, do not put a dirty house on the market. We, you know, again, because of our volume of business, we always clean our listings before we start showings. Always, 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 and we pay for it. What we also do is we actually clean the house after the owners move out. So it's a couple of $100 for us. It goes miles further than that in goodwill for your seller, because the benefit to them is after you move out, we will bring cleaners in to come and clean the house, so you don't have to do it for the next buyer. You're making the assumption that they would have done that, because some people won't, and they're like, ugh. Or, oh my God, really? That's just, it's gonna be so amazing.
How do you do that? Like when sometimes, you know, when they're leaving and the other people are coming and this big
It depends. If there's time. If everybody's doing everything on the same day, that just isn't. I'll talk to the co-op agent and say, you know what, my clients are moving out the morning of closing. Are your guys moving in the night of? Because if they will, we do not have time to bring in cleaners. If they're, it closes on a Thursday and they're not gonna move in until the weekend, like we'll say to the agent, you know what, we'll leave a lockbox on the door, we'll bring somebody in Friday morning.
That's good.
Right? The last house we moved out of, I don't remember exactly how it happened. We weren't planning to move out on the day of closing, because I hate moving out on the day of closing, but it was something with our movers or something. So we were actually moving the morning of closing. And I called the other agent, and I said, we're not even gonna be out of the house until like 5 or 6. Our cleaners aren't coming in until the end of that day. And I think the buyers were also going to be moving in like really, really fast or something. So yeah, you deal with the other agent.
Do you have a cleaning, particular cleaning service you use for that?
Yeah.
Do you, if that scenario where there's a few days in between the seller moving out and the buyer moving in, are you there at that appointment where the cleaner's there, just to be there? No? So the cleaner's just doing their thing? They let themselves in and they, okay.
Yeah, just leave a lockbox on.
When you get, if you have a potential listing and it's one of these Portuguese houses that are full of religious artifacts, do you just tell them to go and get another Catholic agent, or
No.
you would just try?
No, just say, you know what, we however we discuss faith, we appreciate, this is your home. It would make it easier for other buyers to see themselves in it if a few of these items were removed. Some people, they understand that, and they'll go, oh yeah, like I'll take my crucifix down, and some won't, and if they don't, they just don't.
I walked in an ancient open house a couple of days ago. Not only $2 million, not only was it completely filthy, the first thing the agent said, well, my client, her husband died, she moved in. They were in the middle of building it, she finished it, they moved in, and now she has to sell it.
God.
I didn't even ask, I was in an ancient open house and I was going,
God, talk about
Giving
lack of
away
fiduciary
motivation.
duty. Okay, one more. Paul was.
I have one quick
Okay,
one, just
quick.
about the form for when you send people into the house and you're not there. I
Right,
forget about that
it's,
form.
yeah, that's part of our listing paperwork. It's entry acknowledgement something or other.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a form, so we actually have them sign that.
Okay.
So please sign here, because we want to be able to bring in our home inspector, our cleaners, our trades when nobody is here. It does not mean that buyers will go through the house without an agent, right? But you have them sign that. Quick?
Yeah, it was my story, sort of, whatever, was that this condo that my clients purchased just earlier this month, it was staged very nicely, but I think the reason it sat on the market was because the guy spent the time staging and just used his BlackBerry to take crappy photos of it. It was like so terrible.
Unbelievable.
Oh my God.
Unbelievable
with all the
how much
lights
that
off
there
and
is.
everything.